Hello and welcome to Jennifer Knits, my video knitting podcast. Today is Tuesday, January 8th, 2019. Happy New Year. Christina is back in school this week. So yeah, I finally get to do my video podcast again today. I'm a little rusty, so please bear with me. And I guess we can start with finished objects. Despite the fact that it has been the better part of 2 weeks, I don't have a lot to show for it. I had both my kids over the Christmas holidays, no school, and so even when Catherine took a nap, I still had Kitten, and I didn't have as much of a chance to knit as I would have liked, but I do have one finished object, which I was working on last time, and these are my Joy Mitts by Ysolda Teague, and I finished them. They are lovely. One of them is slightly smaller than the other, which is just a gauge issue, but I think it'll stretch out a bit as I wear them. So this is the first one I made, and this is the one I finished since last I saw you. So they've got the extended cuffs that you can fold down if you need your hand. I have sewn in all the ends but this one on this mitt, and I found I did not enjoy that process because they're just little stitches. There isn't a lot of room to sew the different colors in, and the colors are changed. I didn't spit splice them together or anything. So I have all the ends from the different colors to sew in, but I have to hide them in the floats, the bits of yarn that are going across, which is not a very sturdy place to hide the woven ends. So you can see they're kind of, I haven't blocked them yet, so I haven't trimmed them really short, but I don't think I'm going to anyway. I think because they're kind of precariously woven in, I'd like to have that little bit of extra length. The floats look a lot neater on this side where I haven't been mucking about with them to sew the ends in. Anyway, I did not enjoy that process very much, so I haven't yet done, I did almost all the ones on this side and then put them on a shelf to think about what they'd done, which was just be pretty. That's really all they've done. Be pretty in a way that doesn't make it easy to weave in the ends. So I still need to weave in the ends on this one, and then I can actually wear them, which seems nice. I'd like to actually wear them. And these are my Joy Mitts. And this really should go in the acquisition section, but I mentioned last time that Chris looked at the first one and said it was so pretty that he would like one. And the kit for his came today. I ordered it basically that night, but the shop was closed for a week. So the kit for that came today, and I also ordered a shade card for the wool, which is the Roma Fennel 0.2, and that's the naturals, the greens, and the yellows. And this side is the pinks, the purples, and the blues. So this is all the different colors they do in the yarn. The yarn's really nice. I'm very happy working with it. It's certainly a more rustic yarn, but it's not itchy. It's warm. It'd be a nice outer garment. So I will start on one and hopefully have them to give to him for his birthday. They don't have to be done on his birthday, but that's his birthday knitting from me. He's requested a pair of mitts, and I love my husband, so if he requests something, I try to make it for him, although he doesn't get as many socks as he would like. So that's my only finished object, and having finished those and set them in a corner so they could think about what they were doing, I cast on, oh, that's right, it fell off the edge. We'll get to that later. I did go boot in a boot. So I had my walking around project for me, which I picked up my Munlochy socks. This is the first one that I finished. The heel And then I've got this asymmetrical toe because I was knitting it to fit my toes. I'm trying out shaped toes. And this is the second pair of socks I'm doing this in, but I haven't finished. It was the Halloween socks that I didn't finish in time, so they're on a back burner right now. They have the shaped toes. So I'm trying on another pair of socks. And when last we spoke, all I had done was knit the cuff. But now I've got a good, it's what, 1.5 inches on the leg. So I've got a fair bit more. The heel starts here. So I've got a fair bit more to go. And then it'll be heel cuff time. So yeah, that's how much more I have to go before I start doing the heel flap and then turn the heel. I still love this yarn. It is, the Munlochy sock pattern is by Clare Devine. The joy mitts, as I said, were Ysolda Teague. The Munlochy socks, Clare Devine, and that is the Black Isle Yarns sock yarn, which is their Killeen sock base, 80% BFL, 20% mohair. So it's a nylon-free sock. And I'm not entirely sure how well it's going to work as a sock yarn, but I'll try it out, and they may just be comfy bed socks that I never walk around in. I only put them on to be all cozy in bed with very soft, squishy socks. I would have absolutely no qualms using it to make like mitts or something that'd be closer to the face. I mean, I imagine that making gloves or something out of that would just feel so nice on the skin. The one I've done the most working on this last week is I finally picked up my Bruntsfield Vest again. And I checked my pattern to see how far I needed to go. And when last we spoke, I was in the middle of, I just started the light purple on this design, and now I've made it up to the light purple and the one above it. So I've done a full repeat, the half repeat of the pattern, because the full repeat's really the offset X's and O's. But I tend to think of one X and O and one heart as being the pattern. So I've done a full repeat of that. And you see here, I've got my steek. That's these strips here. And this is the neckline steek. So it's going to be the V-neck. And you just cut up the front to have two separate ones. So there's decreases on either side of the steek. And then the decreases, you can see right here, this line of decreases, which will give it that V shape. That's also where the armholes are. Cast off slightly more to start the armhole. And then you cast on stitches to create the steek, and then that'll be cut, and these little stitches will fold down flat inside. So right now it's kind of like this. Then you cut them and they curl under, and then you do the ribbing around the outside. I'm sorry, I really don't have my flow for this. I'm a bit rusty. So I finally done that, which means the rows are getting shorter. Not only did I cast off more stitches than I cast on, so the rows got shorter there, but right now every row I'm doing decreases on either side of my 3 steeks, 2 arms and the side in the middle. So I'm losing 2, 4, 6 stitches every other row, and then it'll continue to be every other row for the armholes, but the V will switch to every 4th row. And yeah, so I'm really happy. There's a lot of knitting here, and I'm really happy with how it's coming along. Looking at the larger one, I feel these lighter patterns are a bit more dominant than I would have liked. Maybe if I'd done them in the darker purple with lighter hearts. But I'm still going to love this. I'm still going to wear it. It's just something to think about. For me, I like bolder, brighter colors. But we'll see when it's on how I feel. And it feels so soft and smooth already. It's not, I mean, the stitches look really even at a distance. Up close you can see there's a bit more wibble and wobble going on. Some people look at other people's projects and go, wow, even before you've blocked it looks so neat. It doesn't. It's just the camera doesn't show the wibbles and the wobbles. And yeah, I'm really happy to be making good progress on this one. And I'll pause the video for a second because I need to pick up the project that fell. Sorry about that. I'm back now. My third work in progress that I've been working on is my Christmas present. And that is a physical copy of Milarrochy Haids. I know how to pronounce it in my head, I just don't know how to say it out loud. Milarrochy Haids, which is the Scottish word for head, the Scots word for head. And I am knitting, I'll do the page with the pictures, Tarradale. This is a really nice book. The paper quality is really nice. The pictures, as you can see, are gorgeous. And this one is the Tarradale head designed by my friend Emily K. Williams. And she had loaned me, well, given me some of her swatching yarn. And then for Christmas, I got enough to complete my project. And this is the Milarrochy Tweed, which is Kate Davies 4-ply, and it's smir, and then the purple is Gloomin, which is, I'm not sure what smir is. I think it's like a beach fog. That's har. Don't know what smir is. Gloamin is kind of twilight. So this is the twilighty purple. And the colors all have flecks of the other colors in them, which makes them blend really well for color work. And this one, it starts, you knit the long tube in one color, and then you switch. You can see where I've switched colors. And you knit the long tube in the other color. It's about 6 inches from my side in each color. And then you put one tube inside the other and alternating knitting a stitch of one color and then a stitch of the other color, put them together. And then all you're doing at that point is you're knitting one tube inside the other. And if you're careful not to twist your yarns, then you could even, when you're done, you'll have knit 2 tubes, cast them off, take them off your needles, and you'll have 2 entirely separate halves to the tube. But then for double knitting, what you do is you switch. So you knit some of the purple stitches on the blue side and the blue stitches on the purple side, and then that locks the fabric together. I can no longer pull it apart there because it's one piece of fabric there. It switched the colors so they're locked together, and while you're knitting it, it just looks like you're knitting some of the colors. Like now there's 2 purple stitches in a row. Let me see if I can show that a little better. So there's 2 purple stitches in a row, and then when it switches back there's 2 blue stitches in a row, whereas the others all alternate. But once you've knit a few rows past, you can see they separate to their 2 separate sides, and it's just the stitches on opposite sides. So this will make a fully reversible hat with that big graphic snowflake on it. And I have discovered that I do not enjoy double knitting because I have trouble tensioning the yarns with Fair Isle, like my vest, the stranded color work. I would do 2-handed, so I'd have 1 yarn tensioned in each side, and then I would just knit the stitches using whichever yarn I need that color. But for this one, you need to keep both yarns together, so as you're knitting, they both really have to be on the same side, whether that's both on this side or both on this side. I'm what's called a continental or a picker, which means I hold my yarn in my left hand, except when I'm doing 2-handed color work. But you need to knit 1 stitch and then bring both yarns and do the next stitch. Otherwise, you would wind up carrying, like you'd be able to see the blue floats. You do a purple stitch, but you'd have a blue yarn wrapped around it. So you have to keep them both on both sides. And I know there are ways you wrap like one and then you do the next finger. So you've got the 2 yarns on different fingers, or you would wrap one and then wrap the other over a little bit. I can't do it. I don't know how. It's not working. My fingers aren't doing it. I suppose if I really wanted to, I would figure it out. But I think I will just accept that double knitting is a wonderful technique and not one that I am at this point in my life interested in pursuing. So I cast this on as my Christmas present. There's my started round marker. And I knit the 6 inches for the tube. Came along really quickly. And now I'm on my 4th row of the double knitting. And it kind of got set aside, but it does mean I made a lot of progress on my vest. Hard to complain about that. Can't complain about that. This is not, my being reluctant to want to work on this is not a judgment on the pattern. The pattern's lovely. It's really well written. The finished hat obviously is gorgeous. I am just not enjoying double knitting. I'll get there. I'll knit it. I want the hat. I'll make it. But I set it aside for greener pastures it sits there. It sits at the table. It's by my dinner table, where I sit at the table. So it sits there and looks at me. But I haven't wanted to do it. So that's also the rest of my acquisitions is the kit and my shade card and my Christmas present, the book and the yarn for this. And I did buy some yarn to knit a jumper for Catherine because she needs a bigger jumper. And the next size up for Christina was for Kitten is in a goldenrod, and goldenrod is not. Catherine can wear like butter yellow, really soft, beautiful light yellows. Christina wears gold and like the stronger oranger yellows. So I bought a lilac-y purple for Catherine to knit a jumper for her. And I have a sweater quantity for Kitten. Excuse me, I thought it was the same shade, but it's a slightly different purple. But they'll both have, hopefully if I get around to knitting them, they'll both have light purple jumpers, and Christina can wear hers, Kitten can wear hers to school, and Catherine can wear hers anywhere she wants. Speaking of Catherine, she will be 2 on Friday. That's the 11th, so 3 days, she'll be 2. And she has chicken pox. I thought she'd already had chicken pox. A year ago, October, we all got hand, foot, mouth disease. And while I was coming up with just these little dots on my hands and feet, unfortunately not around the mouth, because I hear that's absolutely the worst part of it. None of us had anything around our mouths. We just had our hands and our feet. While I was coming out with those, I was the first one. At the same time, Catherine was coming out in blisters that weren't on her hand and feet. They're kind of in her groin, and then later she got some in her armpit. And at first I thought it was a really bad nappy rash, but then they kind of turned into individual blisters, and I was like, oh, chicken pox. So I thought she had chicken pox, and then she also came out with the hand, foot, mouth dots more than blisters. So I thought she'd had both of them at the same time, and so I wasn't worried, because we'd had 2 of Christina's friends over on a Wednesday, and then the Thursday night, one of the kids came out in chicken pox, and the Friday night, the other kid came out in chicken pox. And you're most contagious the 2 or 3 days before you come out in the spots. So I wasn't particularly concerned with keeping Catherine or Christina away from any of the kids who were contagious, but by the time I knew there was even a contagion to avoid, we'd already been exposed. There's no way we missed being exposed to that, having 2 kids who were highly contagious in our house right before they came out with spots. But Sunday morning, Catherine rather, took off her pajamas and she just had this rash all over her back. And she's got eczema. The skin on her back and her arms mostly is really dry. So it was all these kind of dried spots, like they were already scabbing over and stuff. And I'm thinking now it's just that because her back was so dry, the skin was really dry on top of the spots she was getting, because later that night she was getting them on her tummy and they were more pimple-like. The next day she's got some like around her eye and on her forehead, and now she's got some around her chin, a couple on her arms, a couple on her legs, but inside her nappy is absolutely covered, and her back just, like, you might as well try to count the stars as count how many spots she has on her back. She has at least 1,000 spots on her body. So she's got it really bad, and she's not wanting to wear her nappy, which makes sense. Like, that cannot possibly be comfortable. And yesterday she mostly managed, like, the times I'd get her in a nappy, then she'd do her wee and she'd take it off and hand it to me. We're like, oh, it's wet. Okay, that's fine. You can run around naked some more. But today she's peed on the floor a couple times, which is fine. We don't have any carpeting, so it's easy enough to clean up, and it's certainly not her fault or anything. Like, I wouldn't get mad about it anyway, but as it is, it's particularly just like, well, no, that's what's going to happen. I'm certainly not going to try to pressure you to wear a nappy unless we're leaving the house or going to bed or something, because that cannot be comfortable. So we've got a whole bunch of stuff from the pharmacist, which was all free. Thank you, Scottish NHS. Thank you, Nicola Sturgeon. We got like creams and aqueous creams rather than just like straight chamomile. It's an aqueous one, so it's lighter and it soaks in faster and isn't over drying. There's a mousse stuff that some of the other kids the parents of the other kids who've had chickenpox recommended, but they've been out of it, so I don't have that. But they also gave some menthol cream today, which he said it would take the heat out of the chickenpox, like they wouldn't be burning, itching. But I'm willing to try anything on Catherine. Maybe put some on her, like just on her shoulder, and see how she feels about it, and then we can do more of her body as needed. She's even got like on the kind of the inner side of her eyelid. She's not been eating. She eats a little bit, but mostly she just wants to nurse. And I've been trying to step back on the nursing because she's almost 2 and I want to sleep through the night at some point and not have to nurse constantly during the day. Like, she should be eating food, but if she's got any inside her mouth or in her throat or anything, it's probably really sore, and nursing at least gives her my immune system to help her fight the chickenpox on her own. But she was awake. She didn't go to sleep until almost 11. No, she went to sleep last night. The night before, she was up till 11. She went to sleep last night, but then she woke up a couple times. She woke up basically every hour and then was awake for 3 hours in the middle of the night. And she was like, I was trying to sleep anyway, and she kept reaching over and being like, Mama, Mama. Oh, I'm so tired. Especially because having had the 2 weeks of break, like normally, the kids don't go to bed early. Catherine's been staying up to like 10, 10:30, 11. We're trying to get her to go to bed earlier, but it's hard on break because her nap tends to be later. So she tends to then stay up that little bit later, and she was sleeping in later, but I couldn't even get up early because she was sleeping in later, but she was wanting me. She was still wanting to nurse and stuff and waking up if I moved. But yeah, last night she was waking up, and then over the break, like normally when she takes a nap, that's when I get my break. That's when it's just me. That's when I do my podcast, and that's when I can do my knitting. But when she was taking a nap, Christina needed me. So that was when Christina wanted me to do art projects with her and stuff like that. And obviously I'm happy to do that kind of stuff with her, but by the end of the second week, I would hit Catherine's nap time, and I would just be like, I can't. I'm sorry, I can't. Like, even just Kitten would be bringing me the tape dispenser and be like, okay, can you get me, like, break off a bunch of pieces. I'm having trouble with it. Can you break off a bunch of pieces of tape for me? And I was just like, I can't. I can't move. I can't think. There's a whole lot I can't. And then by the time Catherine was awake again and had nursed and was happy, then I had energy again. But just every day during her nap, I basically just shut down. My body was like, this is supposed to be your break. Why aren't you taking a break? So then to have chicken pox after that yesterday, she wouldn't put her nappy on, so I didn't take her for a push. So she didn't have her nap until we went to get Christina, and then Christina, first day back at school, screamed the whole way home. She was upset because she wanted more snack, not the snack I brought her. I got her home and I got her calmed down, and then I went to get something for her, and I came back and she'd been in one spot when I left the room, and when I came back I went to where she was in another spot, and she was absolutely hysterical because I was supposed to think she was still in the first spot and go over there and be like, oh, where did she go? And then she'd jump out and yell surprise, and I would laugh. That was her plan. And so for half an hour she sat on my lap. I wasn't allowed to hug her or comfort her. I just had to sit there with her on my lap. I wasn't allowed to touch my phone or anything. Just had to sit there while she screamed at me for knowing where she was instead of being fooled so she could do this joke. And like by the end of that, I was just like, I'm so done. So done. And then last night, Catherine woke up every night, every hour to nurse because she hadn't particularly eaten any food. One of the neighbors even brought us dinner for the girls, so that I didn't have to come up, like, take care of her and come up with dinner plans. And Catherine didn't particularly eat it, but she was awake every hour nursing, and then 3 hours in the middle, and she wanted me to interact with her, so she kept like grabbing my face and trying to get me to do things for her, and I'm like, no, it's not time to be doing things, it's time to be sleeping. So when it was time to get Kitten up for school today, Chris basically had to do everything. He had to shower. Fortunately, Kitten got her own breakfast. That's something like over Christmas break. I'm like, oh, well, I'll get you some cereal. And she's like, no, I can do it. And she did. So today, you get up and get me breakfast. And I'm like, I'm trapped under a sleeping nursing baby. Haven't had much sleep last night. I'm like, you're a big girl. You can do it. And so Chris came to me later and was like, Kitten made her own breakfast. I'm like, I know, yeah, that's a thing she can do now. She can do so much more than she's willing to do. She's really going through a clingy baby me stage. But she can get her own cereal. So he had to feed her more cereal in between getting himself dressed and getting her bag packed. Because normally I do breakfast and get her bag packed and get Christina dressed, Kitten dressed while Chris gets himself ready for the morning. But he had to do all of it. By the time Catherine and I were out of bed, they were getting Christina dressed, and she didn't want me to do it. She wanted Daddy to do it. So I was not helpful with getting her ready for school today. I was helpful with taking care of Catherine, but I was not helpful with getting Kitten ready for school. Hopefully she has a better afternoon. She's supposed to have girl brigades tonight, but I can't take Catherine on the bus when she's contagious with chickenpox. I don't think I can even take her in a taxi. Normally we pick up a McDonald's for Christina to eat because Girl Brigade starts at 5 and goes to 5:30, and that's basically when she needs to have dinner. So, sorry, I thought I heard the doorbell, but there's no one out front. So I try to feed her McDonald's to eat by 5 and then have a dinner when she comes home. Oh, Chris is here. Anyway, I'm very tired, and I will tell you next week about the things we're doing to get ready for Christina's birthday, and hopefully we'll be over the chickenpox and well rested and feeling better all around. Okay, thank you very much. Bye.